Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's Monday, it's October 17th, it's 2016, and football happened yesterday. So we're going to review some football games, talk about the cash lineup that me and CJ made to play against Dean and Luke. We'll review that. We'll review some lineups. We'll review some lineups that are at the top. And we got some congrats to do because we had a lot of friends and colleagues here take down seats this weekend. So a lot to talk about here on the Monday Grind. How you doing, CJ?
I'm glad that we did well. I made some poor game theory decisions today, and I'm beating myself up over it a little bit. So I didn't get killed. I deserved to get killed, so I can't be too upset. But I don't know. Sometimes reflecting on your own play is something you got to do, and I just played terrible today. Nothing around it.
Yeah, and being able to admit that is the first thing, right? Like being.
Yeah, it just I took I took stands in spots I didn't need to take stands in, and it came back to bite me, and it kind of deserved it. So that's all right. We'll move on.
That's all you got to do, man. You move on to next week. Interesting slate next week. I'm actually excited.
I hate that slate. You like that slate?
It's so bad. That's why I said I meant interesting, as in it's going to take a lot of research this week.
I can't. I was trying to do some. I was look at the car. I was looking at the schedule, trying to think things through, and I was just like, this week's going to be a complete disaster.
If you guys haven't checked out the sponsor of the podcast, head on over to rosters.com. Check them out. Use promo code Grinders. Week 7 is here, so we're going to find out this week who wins a trip to the Super Bowl. I'm excited. I picked up 2 more seats this week, so I'm going to have my 6 tickets on Week 7, and I can't wait. We ran a Roto Grinders Morning Grind free roll this past week. Rosters was really kind enough to put on a free roll, and let's review the top scoring lineup because he outscored me by a bunch. My core plays over there involved Allen Robinson, and we'll talk about him in a few minutes, but it just didn't end well. I had Breeze, and it just didn't end well. So let's look at the Hollyberg's lineup here. He took down, or she took down. The person took down the Rosters Morning Grind free roll, and congrats. So let's. Drew Brees at quarterback. We have nothing bad to say there with Drew Brees at quarterback, and this person nailed the core. Lamar Miller, LaShawn McCoy combo, and that's kind of the combo you needed to have a big day.
Yeah, that's. I was just complaining before the pod. I paid down at running back a lot this week in tournaments, and somehow just I did not have enough of that combination for reasons I don't understand.
We talked about Cameron Meredith on the pod Thursday, just being way too cheap on rosters. This lineup had Meredith at 5,000, had Allen Robinson, so a little bit of correlation play here. Robinson didn't have a great day with only 7.9, 3 catches. It was just one of those days. We'll definitely talk about Robinson. He was a guy that me and you were heavy on this week, so we'll talk about him when we get into the game breakdown. Colby Fleener, Le'Veon Bell as the flex. No issues with this from me.
No, Le'Veon Bell, there's another guy. Hey, your quarterback's playing with a torn meniscus. Maybe you should give Bell the ball more. Just saying.
Right.
Just saying.
Kicker was Will Lutz. We talked about him as well being min salary. So she played Breeze, Fleener, and Lutz here.
Got the job done.
Seattle Seahawks defense put up 8 points. Just a overall solid lineup here. Really interesting to see quarterback, tight end, kicker. And we've seen that, I think, earlier this year on FanDuel too. I think it was Luck, T.Y. Hilton, and Vinatieri win a tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to go back and do research. I never build teams that way, but I'm going to have to go back and look at it because it's definitely been the second or third time I've noticed it.
Yeah, that's something that we definitely need to look into. Always being able to adjust your strategy and look and pick up on stuff is something smart too. So let's talk about our head-to-head lineup that we built. We got done with the podcast Thursday morning doing our NFL pod. And right after the pod, we built our lineup. They didn't want to play us on the Monday slate. So finally last night, me and you just were texting each other, and we were like, all right, we're just going to give in. I'm not even going to rant about it. I want to rant about this so bad. I'm not going to. We picked up the W, so I'm not as mad. But we have our Sunday, Monday lineup has 180 points with John Brown going. So they're so lucky they moved this because it would have been another 30-point win for us.
Yeah, I mean, basically without that Kelsey complete garbage, we'd be looking to go to this for the sweep next week with Narrative Street. Like, they're in trouble. Team Chalk's in trouble, down 2-1, facing a team with Narrative Street from week 4. That's not good.
Yes, for sure. We'll definitely talk about that narrative here this week on the pod. 166.2 to 161.5. It could have went either way this week. It really could have. I think it was a 4v4, right? It was we both played Breeze. We both played Bell, McCoy, and Murray. Like, our cores were the same. Both of us wanted the 3 top running backs as far as projection-wise going in here. I didn't see any issues with not doing that in your cash lineup this week.
Yeah, if you wanted to skip Murray for Miller, I wouldn't have complained, especially when the Will Fuller news came out that he was going to be out, and you might not have had time to plug him back when they were like, oh, he's actually going to play, and then not play.
So the 4v4 here, we had Austin, LaFell, Graham, Tennessee Titans defense. And really, it was Jimmy Graham for us. That kind of put us over the top. And it didn't – and like I said, it was close. They played Charles Clay at tight end, and that 4.7 is really what sealed the deal for us.
Yeah, and Jalen Strong didn't do anything either till that last drive, so that helped too.
I was going to tilt so bad. If Strong did anything in overtime and they beat us on the last drive again, I was throwing stuff.
I told you needed a new guest for the pod. I was not coming on. Just was not happening.
So let's get back to our lineup here. We went Tavon Austin, LaFell, and Meredith at wide receiver here. We talked about, just getting the top running backs, getting Breeze, and, playing these values. Meredith was just too cheap this week. He had 11 catches. Brandon LaFell is someone we kind of debated, having LaFell in there. He wasn't in our Sunday, Monday team, but it was just an easy pivot, and that's kind of where we went. We thought Green was going to get a lot of double, and with Eifert out, we bumped up LaFell. He still got us at 3x with that touchdown. He doesn't score that touchdown, we're in trouble. Yeah,
he was. I need to stop playing wide receiver 2s against the Patriots. I fell in love with Fuller against the Patriots a couple weeks ago. I fell in love with LaFell in this spot too. I just need to calm down with wide receiver 2s versus the Patriots. I think I'll live for a little bit.
Yep. And then Tavon Austin, it was the Kenny Britt show. We knew that there was going to be a lot of passing in this game. It was going to be a high-scoring game. We nailed that. 59 points in this game, a lot of back and forth in this game. Austin just didn't have it today. And the thing that's frustrating is Austin had 2 plays kind of washed because he got destroyed by pass interference, and one of them would have been really close to like a 35-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you're just not going to get the touchdown variance. We were high on Marvin Jones too, and it was Golden Tate week. And those type of things are going to happen over the course of the season. You can't get yourself too down on them. If that kind of happens to you, then you just gotta kind of just not worry about it. It's the things that you should be more focused on.
Yeah, I agree. Their lineup was really strong. No pun intended. They stuck. They stuck with Strong when we had the news come out about 10 minutes before the 1 o'clock lock, and then they could have pivoted to Chris Conley in the 4 o'clock games, but they stuck with Strong, knowing that Will Fuller was likely going to play after being said that he was unlikely to play.
I really thought they were going to play Chris Conley. I really did believe it was Chris Conley. That's why when they posted wide receiver, I didn't say anything on Twitter because I didn't want to tell them, you probably should pivot to Chris Conley. I thought that's where they were going to go. I was surprised when 4 o'clock came around that it wasn't Chris Conley. I think maybe the weather scared him off. Maybe it was Chris Conley originally, and then they were just like, you know what, let's just take Strong, 9 targets last week with Fuller, and play in the slot role, see what happens.
I wasn't saying a word.
Oh no, I wasn't either.
No, I wasn't saying a word. I was letting them live and die by the decision that they made, and I was not tweeting them anything. They said wide receiver, and I was like, man, maybe they still have Strong because they had 3,100.
It was 3,100, and we're just like, I almost tweeted at them that it's is it Strong just because, but I didn't want to like get them any ideas. I almost texted you, and I was like, I don't want to jinx this.
I wasn't saying a word. And it's just real quick before we break down the games. Let's look at the guy that took down the Millionaire Maker.
This guy freaking just had like the best weekend ever.
This guy, he's a really good NASCAR player. And first, third, and tied for fourth and 10th. 5 teams in the top 10. When that happens, you know your core goes off, and just wow.
I mean, he had 5 guys that put up like 178 points that we did before the show. Like his top 5 guys were all above 30, went for like 178. So if that's your core, you better win something.
So let's look at it. He went with Stafford at quarterback with Golden Tate instead of Marvin Jones. I'm interested to know if he like had pivots where he had, some Marvin Jones on this type of stack.
He had 30 teams in the million. I think they all finished in the top 500.
Well, then he probably didn't. So he went Stafford, Le'Veon Bell, Lamar Miller, Britt, Tate, Thomas, Gronk, McCoy, Eagles defense. The big thing here for him was Kenny Britt, 2.9% owned in the Millionaire Maker, 35.6. Just a monster day from Kenny Britt.
I mean, what else can you say?
It was just a monster day. And he had the correlation where he had Stafford and Tate. They both had good games, and he nailed that LA Detroit game.
Yeah, and he nailed all the other great plays. And it's not like his team was perfect. Like he still had Le'Veon Bell, who didn't do much for him. So, it's not like it was the perfect team, but it was pretty darn close.
I had a 204 with this same type of stack that had Tavon Austin with the Kenny Britt and the Golden Tate. So just couldn't get that lucky.
Yeah. To win a Million Maker, you've just got to run pure as pure, and that's what happened here.
All right, let's talk about the games. We'll start here in my home state. Miami Dolphins beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-15. Even before Ben went down in that game, it was just an ugly football game.
I will not play the Steelers on the road. I will not play the Steelers on the road. I will not play the Steelers on the road, Sam Mayan.
We talked about on the pod Thursday about fading Antonio Brown. That really, really paid off. And you're not really, you're willing to give him his 5 to 10 catches for 100+ yards. You're just kind of fading him staying out of the end zone. And today, it was just a day where he just didn't get going. And I think that had a lot to do with Ben getting hurt, obviously. What do we do here? We're going to see now Ben's going to have surgery on Monday. I think it was a torn meniscus in his knee, right?
Yeah, 3 to 5 weeks. I'm going to try to see if DraftKings – I wonder if DraftKings pricing – I bet you DraftKings pricing does not compensate for this. Let me scroll to the 4 o'clock window. Let's see what we got here. We've got no. So basically, the entire Pittsburgh attack is out of play against the Patriots next week. I'm not paying top dollar for Le'Veon Bell with no Big Ben there or Antonio. So this is going to be a pass for me.
FanDuel, on the other hand, the prices for the Steelers guys came down. Browns 9K.
That's
Bell's,
not down though. For Landry
90,
Jones, that's not down.
No, I'm saying it came down. He was like 96, 98 in that price range this week. I can't remember exactly. Le'Veon Bell. What are we doing with Landry Jones? We're gonna get asked that a million times this week. He's 62. If he was 5K, I'd have interest.
He's 5K on DraftKings. You're not playing him.
Not on DraftKings. You don't need to, but on 5K on FanDuel, I would have had interest.
No, he's awful.
Pittsburgh offense in this game, it's tough to really say much. We're going to have to really pay attention moving forward with Landry.
I think the entire Steelers offense is a fade for me next week, other than maybe some Le'Veon tournament exposure. That's it. Yeah,
we'll definitely talk about that. And I think they play the Pats and then they have a bye week, right?
Yeah, and then it's the Ravens. So maybe, it's not going to be – the problem is it's Landry Jones. He's so bad.
It's all about price. Like if they're gonna stake and like super expensive, you just fade them.
Yeah, there's just no way.
Looking at the Dolphins side of things, Jay Ajayi had a career day. 25 carries, 204 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Just a monster day, and like
Where was that 2 weeks ago when I was all over him? And then they did this 3-headed monster crap. Where was this 2 weeks ago? Or 3 weeks ago? I don't know how long it was. I remember I was on Jay Ajayi, and then they did that whole 3-person platoon nonsense. He was your best running back from the start.
I'm just not going to look into this too much. I think his ownership's going to bump, and Arian Foster was back in this game. It's just they rode the hot hand in Ajayi. They didn't need to have Foster out there getting hurt.
You know, Ajayi, I think, is going to get a crack at the job, you would think.
It's tough to say, man. I know they.
You think he can go for 220 rush for 25 times for 204 and 2 touchdowns and not get a crack at the job?
No, he should be the starter. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying, like, what's his ownership going to be after coming off?
Oh, yeah. Some number you can't play him. I'm with you there.
And I don't know who the Dolphins play next week, but
they play the Bills.
Yeah, I'm not playing the running backs against the Bills.
LaShawn McCoy is going to be such a trap next week.
Jarvis Landry, 7 catches, 91 yards, 9 targets. Just continues to be a really solid cash game play on full PPR sites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of the Bills, LaShawn McCoy, we talked about it last week, just might be one of the safest running backs in football.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. The Bills are not going to be this good running the football over the course of the season. They looked really good last week. They were amazing this week. I think they've run for something like 400 and something yards or 500 yards in their last 2 games. And everyone's going to see this matchup at Miami, and they're going to be like, oh, you know, the Bills, LaShawn McCoy. Well, the price is jacked up now. He's now the second most expensive running back on the slate. And we've seen these teams go into Miami, if it's hot, and just wilter. This is a team that's been playing in the colder weather. I think McCoy is a beast, and obviously he's a guy that you're going to play in your cash games, no doubt. But I think there's going to be a merit for a tournament fade this week.
We'll talk about it. It's something we'll definitely talk about. The thing that I'm taking out of this game, Tyrod Taylor was running a lot. 8 carries, 68 yards. Like, I'm interested in that a lot.
So many plays. You just got to throw out games against the 49ers. Just throw them out.
That's true, too.
Don't get married to it. Like, that's the thing. Like, everyone's going to get married to them. All the Bills are going to be overrun because they ran so many plays last week, and their stats are going to look so good. Like, you're just not going to get that many plays.
So looking at the 49ers, 3 wide receivers had 7 targets each. Jeremy Curley had 7. Torrey Smith, 7 targets. Quentin Patton, 7 targets. Weighing any of this with Kaepernick, I think we need to look at it a little bit, right?
Kaepernick and cash is going to be a conversation next week on DraftKings.
I can't do it.
Do you know who they're facing? Do you want to know first?
I don't even care. I'm not playing him. Until he stands up for the national anthem, I'm playing him.
So you're just going to completely fade him in tournaments too?
Every week.
You might want to skip this week then because he gets Tampa at home.
I don't care.
Don't lose your money. Don't lose your money on this. Just fade the slate then.
I'm just going to play Jameis Winston everywhere then. That's all.
I think Cap's going to go off this week.
All right, Philadelphia, Washington. Washington continues to be a really solid team at home. Kirk Cousins looked good in this game. Even I say good. He didn't look great, but he played well enough to win this game. Matt Jones destroyed this Philly run defense.
Yeah, kind of what I was expecting from Theo Riddick last week, but looks good here in this spot. This game was just kind of a fluky game. It was kind of just there was no rhythm for Washington. They never got going on offense. Like, they averaged 5 yards a carry. They just never had the ball. They only ran 43 plays in this game as opposed to 67 for the Redskins. I think this is kind of just a situation where you're just going to have to kind of Philadelphia is not as bad as they've looked the last 2 weeks. I think that they get a good rebound spot. That'd be a team to consider, I think, moving forward.
Philly defense was a defense we talked about a lot last year for tournaments. Looking like a solid tournament defense each week.
Yeah, and I just looked at the schedule. This is not the solid rebound spot, so we will have to wait one more week.
Putting any stock into this, like they're just continuing to spread it down. Are we just like fading the Philly offense moving forward?
I don't know. I don't want to, but I might have to.
I just think
Jordan Matthews got 7 targets on 22 pass attempts. Like, if I could get that consistent ratio, that target share, I could get interested again. But I gotta see it a couple more times.
I feel like right when we get interested in it again, he's gonna have that game again, like 2 targets for 2 catches.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, Cleveland and Tennessee. Interesting football game. Like Tennessee Titans defense was my go-to defense this week, and they didn't do awful because they had 6 sacks. But Kessler threw for 336 yards and 2 touchdowns against this defense this week.
Pryor the GOAT. Terrell Pryor the GOAT. Oh my goodness. I this was just like I don't know what happened in this game. This was like just throw the ball to Delaney Walker over the middle of the field, get first downs. Like, man, Mike Mularkey, like, you give that guy a lead and he just not know what to do with it. It's just bad. It just I don't know if I can play too much Tennessee going forward in games where the game script is anywhere in question, just because, like, I just don't know what Mularkey's going to do. Like, how does Delaney Walker get 2 targets against the Browns? How can you be a coach and let that happen? The Patriots just had, like, 400 yards, 300 something, 230 yards, I think, and, like, 3 touchdowns. Like, how? How? Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And they're leading this division.
So Walker didn't get the targets, but Kendall Wright got the targets. Tripled the second next guy. Is Kendall Wright going to be a guy we might look at in tournaments?
I probably should have looked at him this week in tournaments. The reason the Patriots tight ends were so good is because the Browns can't stop anybody over the middle of the field. I just was not that smart to think about it.
And DeMarco Murray, still 20-plus touches. I said it on the pod, Derrick Henry talk was nonsense. It was just people were looking into that too much. Derrick Henry, 2 carries, 2 catches. DeMarco Murray is still the lead guy here.
And will be a staple in your cash games next week.
Pryor, you mentioned him on the other side of this game. 13 targets, 9 catches, 75 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Terrell Pryor in plus matchups is a guy we're going to have to continue to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. He's the offense right now.
Yeah, and Kessler does enough just to get him the ball. So, definitely have to look at him here. Baltimore and the Giants. Eli Manning, I said he was throwing for 300, 403, and 3 touchdowns. Odell Beckham Jr., he had the game that we wanted last week. He made me some tournament dollars this weekend. I'm really happy that I had this stack in some places.
I had it in 1 or 2 places, just not enough.
And they threw the ball a ton in this game. 46 passing attempts in this game against Baltimore. And I think that this is something we're going to see going forward with the Giants. They're going to be a one-dimensional offense.
Eli Manning is so unpredictable.
The whole
and
team.
There's so many weapons on that team. Like yeah, Odell Beckham went off, but he still only got, what is that, like 22% of the targets?
Yeah, it was
46. Like, I almost think this is a spot where you're just gonna have to get back off Beckham, just because, like, yeah, he went off, but he's still just not getting that much of the share.
Do you have the schedule pulled up who they play next week though?
Oh no,
I just closed it.
I thought it was like you knew who the matchup was. They're on bye.
Oh, good. See, that's even better.
Or they're playing Thursday or Monday, but I think they're on bye.
We don't even have to worry about it then. That's even better.
Oh, no, they're in London. I know what it is. They're in London. They're playing the Rams in London.
I don't even have to worry about it. And he's probably going to have a good game.
I was just, you know what? I was like, man, we are going to have to worry about it because we're playing the Thursday to Monday slate. But, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Especially if the Rams' top corner's out again. We just saw what Tate did to that team, too.
The running game for Baltimore, you talked about it a lot on the pod. We've seen the new offensive coordinator come in, and Flacco threw the ball a little bit more in this game, and Terrence West got his. Kenneth Dixon, no. Terrence West, 23 carries, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. The goal line work went to West. It did not go to Flacco like what we've seen, which is so frustrating usually. But man, Terrence West was a really sharp play this week.
I want to go back to him, but he gets an awful matchup. It's just he gets the Jets. It's just like can't do it. I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would be on West again in this spot, but it's just a bad matchup for him.
But you're going to tell me a guy is going to dominate he 23 to 26 carries from the running game this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have a little bit of exposure, but just couldn't get me like a matchup against like Miami or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, he looked really good. And the Ravens 3-3 now in the season. Won their first 3, lost their next 3 at the Jets next week. That's going to be a very important game for both those teams.
Carolina 1-5. Carolina Panthers 1-5. Cam Newton bailed us out towards the end of this game, but this offense looked bad in the first half, just bad.
Yeah, they were not in sync, and you could tell the missed practice time with Cam was definitely a factor. But they got going, and Jonathan Stewart took a lot of those goal line carries that used to go to Cam Newton too, and he punched in 2 of them. Looked really good in the process. I think that was probably my biggest takeaway from the game is that they gave Jonathan Stewart the work. 19 carries, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. If that's going to be a thing going forward to try to limit the Cam Newton rushing attempts, I mean, Cam Newton only had 2 carries on the day. If that's going to be a sustainable thing moving forward, Jonathan Stewart's going to enter tournament consideration every week.
For sure. I think that's the thing that we really do need to take from here is the Cam Newton only had 2 rushes, and both of those came fourth quarter.
Yeah. It was a very straightforward offense. And, at 1-5, you have to wonder, are they just going to not let him run the rest of the season at this point? Because the season's kind of over.
Yeah.
With games we still have road games at the Rams, at Raiders, at Seahawks, at Redskins, at Bucks. 5 road games left. I don't know.
I think that the one thing that we do need to note here, like if Cam Newton's not going to be running and his price is going to be staying like up towards the top tier where he's the top 3 guy every week, like he's going to be a lot easier in my mind to fade.
Oh yeah, he's going to be. I'm trying to think. But the next time I will have any interest in Cam Newton will be November 17th against the Saints.
At home in that game too. Like they're not technically out, but what's the odds of making the playoffs starting 1-5?
When you have those 5 road games and you have Cardinals and Chiefs coming into your building, I just don't see it.
Olsen, Benjamin, they're going to continue to get the targets in this offense. Like that was nothing shocking.
Yeah, the Funchess love was surprising though. It felt like Cam Newton wanted to throw it to Funchess every freaking play.
Red zone look. See, I think he had 2, right? Like one was an interception that he should have. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 6 targets. Felt like a lot more. Like we're coming to the red zone. Ted Ginn, 8 targets, season high. Looked pretty good in the process. Didn't have any horrific drops. But again, this is a really up and down pace. 47 pass attempts. They ran 74 plays. So you're gonna have to be careful there not to get too married to any of these guys.
Drew Brees at home. Is there any reason not to play this guy at home? And just moving forward.
I mean, if he's not starting, That's all I got for you. I don't know. Like 2 weeks, the Seahawks come in. You gonna play them against the Seahawks?
I might, dude.
I'm going to. I think I'm going to.
Yeah. God, he's going to be so low too. Like Matt Ryan moved the ball against Seattle in Seattle this week.
You know, the thing is too, like these next 3 home games for for Drew Brees are tough. Like Seahawks, Broncos, Rams. They're not in a row, but like, you're gonna have some thinking cap to do. It's not the Panthers or the Falcons walking through that door.
Yeah, man. So like the passing game here for New Orleans. There was a report that came out over their bye that they wanted to get Fleener more. They were working. Brees and Fleener were working together more. 7 targets here, but all right, let's take away the 50-yard touchdown. 5 catches for 24 yards.
And you want to take out the sweep play too?
Yeah, they're not going to continue to do that kind of stuff. Let's be honest. We're not going to get another rushing touchdown from Fleener this year. But I want to keep playing Fleener in this offense in good matchups. But just take out that 50-yard touchdown. It's 5 for 24.
I think the thing is that people are going to get caught up on is they're going to be down on Snead just because he didn't catch a touchdown. But he still had the second most targets. And if Fleener isn't going to be getting those targets, like, you know, if he's only catching those little short routes over the middle of the field, like I think Snead's still going to go under-owned in this offense at home just because people are going to be like, oh, Michael Thomas and Cooks caught the touchdowns. Well, they might have this week, but next week Snead could catch 2. Like I think he's going to be the under-owned guy going forward.
Yeah, and Thomas, I actually ended up with Thomas and cash on FanDuel this week. He was just so cheap. I played him and Meredith together, and I was able to fit in everything around those 2 guys, and it paid off for me. Yeah,
I wish I had. I just was really worried about the Snead targets, and Thomas only had 5 targets. So, like, was I wrong? I don't know. He caught them all for a touchdown. So, like, results oriented is like, well, it didn't work out. But if you were concerned about targets and he had the tie for 4th most targets on the team, were you wrong? I don't know.
I didn't expect him to score a touchdown, but I liked his chances to get 2x this week.
Yeah, I think that was totally fair. There's so many options there going forward that it's always going to be tough to play Drew Brees in tournaments because you don't know who to stack it with. Like, it's not like the next time the Saints come home, he's going to suddenly be 25% because it's still almost impossible to stack.
Jacksonville, Chicago. Jacksonville scored 17 points in the 4th quarter, came back and beat the Bears.
One of the most ugly games I've ever watched. We should just skip this game. I'm serious. Like, there is nothing to take away from this other than
Chris Ivory, I think, even out-snapped Yeldon and out-carried him in this game. I think that's something we need to talk about. Let's not talk about. Are you really
ever going to roster Chris Ivory? In what scenario would you roster Chris Ivory?
If Yeldon is out, would be the only time. I'm just saying, like, there's no reason to play either one of these running backs is kind of what I'm getting at. Like,
well, actually, let me make a case. And this is going to make you sick. You ready for this?
They play the Browns this week.
No, it's even better. They play the Oakland Raiders. Guess his price tag on DraftKings.
Who, Ivory?
Yeah.
Is he 32?
Close. 34. His price went down.
So a touchdown there gets you 6. Really close to getting 3x.
I know.
See, you just shut it down and, like, I don't know, man. He got the goal line work, too. Red zone work.
I wish there's a game we're going to spend forever with on the podcast because one of 2 things is going to happen. Either the Oakland defense is finally going to show up the week after I give up on them, or Blake Bortles is going to go bonkers, and there is no in between.
We're done with the Oakland defense.
I don't know if I'm done with them. You guys can all be done with them. I completely understand. I cannot be done. I'm going to have to ride them out through this road trip to Jacksonville and Tampa. And if they don't give me a good performance, then maybe I can get off of it.
Brian Hoyer playing quarterback. Is there a reason not to play Meredith? This is 2 weeks in a row we've seen massive amount of targets.
Okay, so here's again another situation. This was always going to be one of the highest paced games on the board. So they ran 76 plays. Just to put that in perspective, that's the same number of plays that Carolina ran. 76 plays. When are the Browns going to run 76 plays again?
The Bears?
I'm sorry, what did I say? The Lions?
No, you said the Browns.
What I was thinking.
You're thinking bad teams. 1-5, 0-6.
Yeah.
I get what you're thinking.
The Bears, so that's the concern, right? Because he still caught he got 33% target share or 30% target share, but if they're only throwing the ball 30 times, that's not 15, that's 9. So I think that's kind of like the concern. And Eddie Royal left with an injury too, which also helped his target share. So if Royal's out, then yeah, but I'm not. I like Meredith. I'm worried just because I think the ownership's going to be too high based on a play projection that's never going to realistically happen again.
And they're on a bye this week, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they're not. They play Thursday night against the Packers on the road. Talk about a game that's not going to be very high-paced.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, I was at a kid's birthday party for my daughter, and so I watched a lot of this game because it was the local game, and Jeffrey actually looked a lot better in this game. I think he's starting to get healthy.
I think so. I was really happy with his performance. He just didn't catch the touchdown I needed to or get over 100, but 13 targets as a low-owned tournament option. That was probably one of my better plays of the day. I was happy with that one. That one kind of worked out the way I thought.
Jordan Howard found the paint, but he struggled to get going in this game. They gave Carey some work because Howard was struggling to get going. I don't know, man. I'm definitely not playing these guys against the Packers.
No, definitely not. It's all the passing attack. Meredith, Jeffrey, Royal, Hoyer. I'm kind of annoyed that game's on a Thursday. The ownership's going to be inflated through the roof too. That's gonna be a tough game to figure out. We'll talk about it on Wednesday.
Rams, Lions, this game was a track meet, and I think games that are in Detroit moving forward are going to be this way.
Didn't we talk about this game already?
No.
We didn't talk about Golden Tate. We didn't talk about Tavon. We didn't talk about Kenny Britt.
No, they were just in the lineup when we were breaking down lineups.
Oh, what?
We don't have to spend a lot of time on this game. All I'm going to say is Todd Gurley, still not great.
It's shocking. An offensive line actually matters.
Yeah, and he averaged 4.1 yards per carry. Sure.
Case Keenum, also another quarterback that's also better than Brock Osweiler, former Houston Texan.
27 for 32 from Keenum today.
Just in case you were wondering how bad the Lions' defense was, right?
So I'm saying, games that are in Detroit moving forward on this turf with this bad defense, I'm just going to stack these games moving forward.
Oh, you're going to love their opponent this week. Hold on, I got to find him. I know they're here somewhere. I know they're at home. Oh, you're going to love this.
I know. I'm going to play so much Kirk Cousins. So much Kirk Cousins this week.
Please, Jordan Reed, please be back for this game.
Please. If you're not, Garcon, Deshaun Jackson, Crowder, yeah.
Yeah, this is and if we can somehow get Theo back too.
So Justin Forsett was talked about a little bit. Zach Zenner got the carries with Theo out.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. One of my many bad ideas this week.
Wasn't necessarily a bad idea, though. I know it didn't pan out, but did you really expect him to just get 5 carries?
No, I thought he was going to get 10 to 12 touches, and at the minimum on FanDuel, I had to try.
If you projected this game, you probably projected Detroit to be up in this game, and the Rams just kept up in this game. That was just not what I was expecting. I was expecting them to be down, throwing the ball a lot, and they threw the ball a lot. This Lions defense is bad.
Yeah, and their offense, the Rams secondary is just really bad too.
Cincinnati, New England. We'll talk about the Cincinnati side first. Really still a split share here for the running game. It's just even this week where Gio had such a great matchup because New England gives up a lot of catches to running backs. They still didn't hit value because it's just a split. It's a two-headed monster, and it's not going to change.
Yeah, Patriots defense looked a little better after the first half. They didn't look all that great, and they improved a little bit there in the second half. I was pretty happy with how the defense looked. Couple goal line stands. I think moving forward, the thing way to take away on the Cincinnati side is that you basically only can play A.J. Green in good spots. That's it.
I think we can also take from this game is I think New England really struggles with the slot receiver because Tyler Boyd, 4 catches for 79 yards, only 5 targets, but they struggled with him in the slot today.
Yeah, and they also struggled with Devontae Parker in week 2. So, yeah, that's stuff. Larry Fitzgerald in week 1 was running a lot of routes out of the slot. So that might be the way to go moving forward.
Looking at the New England side of things, Tom Brady is good at football. No shocker here. It goes back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago. We get Brady this week where he threw 376 yards and 3 touchdowns. His ownership was down. It's just getting a good player with low ownership that has a ton of upside.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you kind of like the Drew Brees syndrome. It's who do you stack them with? Always going to drive down the ownership.
Yeah. And we
talked now, though, I'm warning everyone now. Next week is a Blunt game. Mark my words. Blunt is going to go bonkers next week.
We talked about playing Brady by himself, and that actually worked out. But if you paired him with Gronk had a great game here. And like Bennett still had 5 targets for 5 catches. Just Gronk got the touchdown this week, and that's going to be something that moving forward we have to watch. It's the tight end, and James White's not going to catch 2 touchdowns each week too.
Nope, they'll just rotate around. This week though has all the makings of the Pittsburgh offense can't move. Blunt's revenge. 4,900 on DraftKings.
Super Bowl runs through the Patriots this year. Just saying. With Ben going down, the Super Bowl runs through the Patriots.
Yeah, win this game and you're in good shape.
Yep. All right, so Kansas City, Oakland, a lot of rain the night before. Field was a little messy in this game. So Spencer Ware still got a majority of the work here out of the running game for Kansas City. They eased Jamal Charles in. Luckily for me, Jamal Charles found the end zone, so having exposure to Jamal Charles didn't blow up in my face. But I expected him to get more work here. He didn't.
The offensive coordinator said he was going to be sprinkled in. What did you expect?
I didn't hear you.
The offensive coordinator said he was going to be sprinkled in. What did you expect?
I didn't see that report, to be honest with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I totally missed that one. No, but yeah, and just Ware looked good in this game. Oakland goes back to the Chris Ivory thing. Oh, we're going to have a debate about that on Thursday.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I was 40 carries for 183 yards. I did not see that coming.
You know who led the targets for Kansas City, right?
Chris Conley?
He did. I'm not playing anybody from this passing game moving forward. It's just
you never should.
I know.
I might have been wrong about the Road Raiders defense, but I knew that Alex Smith was not going to beat him, and he did not. So
he didn't have to. This is like the perfect example of what Andy Reid wants to do: control the clock and just win. Yeah,
Raiders against Jaguars. That game is just gonna. Oh, I'm already torturing about that game. It's just the answer is I'm just gonna play both sides. Just play 10% Raiders defense, play 20%, 15% Blake Bortles, Allen Robinson, and then let one of those lineups win.
We're doing this Oakland receiving thing right. We've nailed the Crabtree side. We talked about Cooper again this week. Nailing the Cooper side. Don't look into the 4 targets from Crabtree this week. He had a really tough matchup, and Cooper just destroyed in his matchup.
I was just gonna say I think next week's a Crabtree week.
I gotta see how it lines up, but
I would think it's gonna line up with him on the same guy that Meredith had this week.
Yeah, but Cooper stays on the outside and Crabtree on the outside, so both those guys should do well against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think that they'll shadow with Jalen Ramsey on Cooper, but I could be wrong.
It didn't matter. He shadowed Jeffrey today. It didn't matter. Both those guys did really well against this. The outside is where you want to attack the Jags.
I just think this is a situation where now that the owners, remember earlier Crabtree was the guy that was super high owned and Cooper was low owned. It's going to be flipped. And that's just exactly when you pivot the other way.
I just hope Crabtree's price came back down. 2 bad weeks in a row. I hope his price came down a little bit.
Well, let's find out. That's why I have DraftKings open. I'll tell you what his price is. His price is basically the same.
It went up on FanDuel. He's 72 this week now.
He's 66 on DraftKings.
I don't know.
That's not bad.
I'll probably still go Cooper. We'll talk about it. Look into the matchup, but you're not really playing anybody in this passing game outside of those two guys.
Nope. You're not playing any of the running backs either.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Like, Carr with Cooper or Crabtree is where you're going to go.
Yep, that's it. Done.
Yeah, that's where you want to target this offense. Moving on, Falcons, Seahawks, great football game. I don't know if you've seen the last play where they threw a deep ball to Julio and he got mugged and they didn't call it pass interference.
I was listening to Seattle radio on XM on my way home. They were so like, that's great defense. Like, that's not pass interference in this league. And then I watched video and I was sitting there like, wow.
Like, how don't you throw a flag?
I was wondering how the Seattle radio people were like, that's not pass interference. Like, do they do that much mugging that you guys have forgotten what pass interference is? Like, oh my goodness.
They're not biased at all. Seattle radio, they're not biased at all.
I mean, I'm a biased guy. I feel like, but that was just blatant pass interference.
So let's talk about this game real quick. Atlanta side, this team looks legit. And Julio Jones moving forward is going to be a guy we need to look at, but Sano looked healthy in this game and is still getting involved in this offense. He led the targets in this game.
100% Julio Jones next week.
Who does Atlanta
100%.
play?
I'll give you take a guess. If I'm willing, because I've already kind of gone through like most of the bad pass defenses, so there's only a couple left.
Let's see. We talked about Oakland.
We
haven't talked about two teams. It either could be Cleveland or San Diego.
Well, we did talk about Cleveland. They're playing the Bengals next week.
So it's San Diego. Has to be the Chargers.
Yep.
There'd be only one. Yeah, that for sure. Where is the game? Is it in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. All right. I can definitely get behind some Julio next week for sure.
Yeah, and he's priced up next to Antonio Brown too, which maybe will scare people. Hopefully.
Do you think the rushing game in this game was just because Seattle was shutting down the run and they just wanted to throw the ball? They did get behind in this game too.
Well, then they got ahead and they still kept throwing it. Like they had a lead, and then Matt Ryan was throwing the football. So like they just wanted to throw the football, to be honest.
Yeah. Russell Wilson, pretty solid game here. I was hoping for a little bit more, but I think that moving forward, Jimmy Graham's going to be a top 5 tight end each week to target, matchup aside.
Yep.
This is kind of what we expected last year from Graham. We expected him to get a majority of the targets, and they have a tough matchup this week. I had already seen that they're playing Arizona, and that might scare some people off of Graham, but I think that could be an interesting tournament spot.
I'm not paying that price.
Is he up there?
Yeah, no chance. Love me some Jimmy Graham, but I'm not paying $200 less than Jordan Reed.
Yeah, but you can get him. You can get some exposure on FanDuel at 6,700.
What's Jordan Reed?
73.
I'm paying the 600.
Yeah, I probably will too. Anything else we want to take here from the Seattle? Christian Michael, really, he's going to be a solid guy. He's getting the goal line work. He's getting the touchdowns.
Got vultured by Collins on one, but yeah, looks like it's going to be him.
We're not going to complain about 2 touchdowns, though.
Well, they should have just thrown it to Jimmy Graham for 2 yards instead. That would have been way better.
We just needed 11 more to get that 5 points. Anyway, Dallas Cowboys, Green Bay Packers, Dak Prescott. Is this guy for real? He went into Green Bay and beat Green Bay.
Zeke is a beast. Anyone that was doubting Zeke's ability needs to go watch this tape. Robbery that the guy didn't get a touchdown, deserved one, was completely beast. They're on bye. I don't care who they're playing after that. I'm playing Zeke every week the rest of the way. He's Le'Veon Bell 2.0. Get on board or get out of town. Eagles right after the bye. Bingo. Perfect. Let's get it done. Zeke is going to run for 180 that week. Let's get it done. Then he gets the Browns. Oh, baby.
Oh, can you imagine him against the Browns? This is dirty.
It's going to happen. It's happening in 3 weeks.
Oh, it's just dirty. Yeah, they ran like Zeke was so beastly in this game that they ran play action and Cole Beasley was wide open.
Oh yeah, just completely like dismantled that Packers front. Just he's such a beast.
Hey, Dak threw an interception. That means Romo gets the job now, right?
Yeah, he threw 2, didn't he? Technically,
The stats are 1. I think he had a fumble lost.
they called it a fumble.
Yeah.
How is that a fumble? He was throwing it forward, and the guy caught it.
There was an interception. There was a fumble loss.
That's not a fumble. He was throwing. That's so. Okay, then. Well, whatever.
I sent out a tweet earlier. I said, if Romo starts when they get off the bye, Jerry Jones should just sell the team.
You know that they're going. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do.
I'm kind of sad that we don't get to play Zeke this week.
I wanted to play him again this week. I'm ready to play Zeke every week. He's going to make me so much money.
Packers in this game, man. If there was ever a spot to do well, it was this game at home against Dallas, and just I don't know, man. Montgomery, 12 targets, 10 catches.
Just write that. This game was just a fluke. Just write it away for Packers. Like, are people really like going to overreact on the Rodgers thing? Like,
I'm worried that Rodgers, he's had one good game this year. One good game this year.
I mean, he wasn't bad in the Jaguars game, was he?
He's had one good game this year. He was the lowest rated quarterback, I think, after the first 3 weeks, like graded out on PFF.
Man, you're telling me I can get him against the Bears defense, low owned, huh?
I really think I'm going to fade Thursday's game. It's just not something that I like already. Because that's in Green Bay too. So like,
I could see Rodgers just going for 4 touchdowns. Remember the last time everyone was like, "Oh, Rodgers is in trouble against Green Bay or against Detroit," and he threw like 4 touchdowns in a quarter and a half.
All right, last game. It was the Sunday night game that finished up right before we jumped on the pod. It was the Colts. It was the Houston Texans. Houston down in this game, just rallied in the second half of this game and came back and beat the Colts. And if they didn't give the game ball to Lamar Miller, they're doing something wrong.
That whole game was one of the most unwatchable things I've ever watched in my life. It was awful.
I slept.
And I missed the first quarter, too, because I was still driving back.
I slept.
Another unwatchable game. In person. Miller crushed. Too bad that they'll just misuse him for the rest of the time. And they have a tough matchup next week, too. I think they play on Monday night against somebody. Let me look it up.
They play Denver. In Denver.
Yeah, revenge. Or you can play Brock Osweiler revenge.
I was waiting for you to say that. That's probably going to be an easy game fade for me.
Guys, I was kidding. Before anyone says I was being serious there, I was joking. Like, complete joke.
Hey,
easiest fade. Like, you can just fade this game completely.
DeAndre Hopkins locked in on this game, 15 targets. Did Will Fuller even play a snap in this game?
Nope, just there for depth.
Yeah. So, like, originally the news that came out last night or Sunday morning around 3 a.m. was the right news.
Yeah, I should have known when news comes out at 3 in the morning. It's probably the right answer.
Yeah. And Adam Scheffler, like, he is the GOAT NFL news. So, Frank Gore, 106 yards rushing in this game, stayed out of the end zone, but just continues to be like a solid play here.
Yeah, definitely. Moving forward, he should continue to be one as well.
As much as I hate to say it, like Frank Gore, an interesting play, or just a solid play in that $6,000 price range still. That's it. We had a few questions, and then we'll get out of here. Let's see. Guy said that nice profit off of the podcast info, Team MG, solid work. Is Jordan Howard a top 10 running back going forward? I'm a little worried about Kerry getting some targets or some carries, but I think Howard's solid. I'm not going to play him against Green Bay this week.
Yeah, not a good matchup this week. So I would just stay away for a while.
Breeze was only 10% owned in GPPs I was in. Are people going out of their way to find low ownage? Because it seems like Breeze was a no-brainer.
It was hard to stack them. We talked about this. Like, it's not an easy stack to build. People don't build it. Like, it's the thing is like, okay, Drew Brees comes home again 2 weeks against Seattle. His ownership's probably going to be right in the same 10 to 15% ballpark range.
Yeah, and like, when do we ever see quarterbacks like extremely highly owned? Because there's usually 5 to 7 quarterbacks in good matchups.
Yeah, it's when there's a 5K guy. We haven't had the 5K guy this year that's in a good spot. So like that's when it gets high, like the Ryan Fitzpatrick when he was in Houston game. Like that's when you get the high ownership. You don't get it normally just in good spots at home. Like against Seattle, he's going to be 10 to 15% owned. You can do the exact same thing you did this week. Like Russell Wilson, Jimmy Graham, revenge, Lockett. I mean, you're going to have all sorts of options there in 2 weeks.
Next question we had is Tavon Austin the worst football player of all time? I will say one thing. Same matchup, same everything. I played Tavon Austin again. I have no regrets playing Tavon Austin today.
I just regret not playing Britt, and I knew I should have too. From a couple sources that like that corner just gets beat all the time deep, and I just didn't pull the trigger.
Was Delaney Walker hurt? I don't think so. I didn't see
No,
anything.
he was just bad, and the coaching staff should be fired. But because since everyone in that division is the same, that's right. Actually, the Colts lost the game, so I guess technically, so Houston's 4-2. They're leading that division. Goodness gracious. I kept assuming the Colts were going to win that game, so everyone was going to be 3-3 or 2-3. So, yeah, just Delaney Walker though. Just, whatever. I would play that spot 100 times out of 100 again.
If you had to project Lamar Miller's ownership next week, what would you think it would be? That was our next question.
What was McCoy this week?
I'm gonna say Lamar Miller is gonna be sub 5% against Denver.
Oh, Lamar Miller. Oh, yeah. That sounds about right.
This is a good one here. Thoughts on Monday Night Football? Will Palmer and David Johnson put up numbers like Luck and Miller?
I hope so. But I hope it's Palmer and John Brown.
I really hope it's John Brown. Really.
I have 95% John Brown. That's the highest percentage I've had of a player this year.
So this last one, I just have to say it because it's one of the greatest questions we've ever had. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being good, how bad is Melvin Gordon at football? It's my favorite question ever.
Hades low.
Oh man,
Melvin Gordon. You know what the worst part is? He actually gets a good matchup this week.
But he's 8,000 on FanDuel. He's the easiest fade in the world.
I mean, he's not bad. What's he on DraftKings? 8,000 on FanDuel. He's 64 on DraftKings. See, there's a price that you can actually talk me into.
Maybe. But that's it.
I mean, running back is so back to being so. How did running back get to be so bad again? How did this just happen? It was like amazing, like 10 hours ago, and now it's just terrible again.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, like, if we get any news. I kind of hope Doug Martin's back to full health coming off the bye. That'd be a spot that I'd really like to.
You mean you don't want to play Chris Rogers in cash at 50% owned? No, doesn't interest you.
Like if Martin sits, sure.
Oh man,
like I might still have exposure to Rogers on some sites if he's cheap.
Let's find out. What do you think Chris Rogers is on DraftKings?
I hope it's like 38, and then I have interest.
43.
That's going to be pushing it if Martin plays.
Yeah, and if Martin's out though, we'll load it up.
Yeah, and he's 56 on FanDuel, so like we would get some solid value with Rogers.
The slate is just going to be so annoying. Like we'll talk about it on Wednesday, but like you're gonna have to make a Ware Charles decision because both are underpriced against the Saints in Arrowhead. It's just I don't like this slate already.
All right, we'll definitely talk about that on Thursday. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Hopefully you guys crush this week.
had a good week. I
That's
had that Kenny Britt leverage though.
Yeah, I missed that memo. I needed that one.
If you're playing basketball tonight, good luck in your contest. If you're playing NHL, good luck in your contest. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. Good night.